Pop the hood right here. I have to take your finger and kind of grip in. So you're gonna have to come in here and then slide across to feel it. Come up. This is gonna hold your hood up. If you're doing this at night, if you're doing that at night, so this is gonna protect that from rubbing. This is a good place to attach a lot if it has a clamp. Your tools up here, because you almost always knock them down in there. But if you're going to do it, lay something down so they can't fall down into the engine, because they'll get stuck in a crevice. A lot of times they don't fall all the way to the ground, so you can't just reach up underneath the car to get it, and it is a pain. And you don't want them getting into something that's important. Or everything will be in metric, and some of your older American stuff will still be in standard. So we want to disconnect the negative first, then the positive. So that way we don't accidentally touch something. Like if I'm over here working on this and this touches metal, we can create a connection that can short, and that can actually cause these batteries to explode. They have sulfuric acid in them, and highly flammable. So you don't want any kind of spark around them. So that was a 10. And any type of wrench can work. So here we have a socket wrench. Sometimes you'll be in locations where you'll have to use just a standard wrench. So this is a 10. That would have fit on where I'm at. But here's the open end, because sometimes you're in a location where that won't get in, but you could slide this wrench in. Place that back so I don't drop it down or forget about it. All right, so the negative is off. So I detached this one, not this one here, the one that was actually on the battery terminal. And a lot of times you'll want to take that and clean it out. I'll show you how to do that, especially if you have a lot of buildup. So that's disconnected. Now we can open this up, and we're gonna get on that one there and loosen that up. Let's see. There we go. So we're gonna lock that into place somewhere so now the battery's not hooked to anything. So typically what you're going to do is just loosen one of these. It's going to be this one on this side, because it has like a little J hook in there. You notice this one has a thing that's covering the nut up, and this is the mount for the battery. See if I can unhook that now. Yeah. So that was the little J hook I was talking about. So now this will come over here, and we should be able to slide the battery out. Let me zoom in on that. Be able to just lift this up. There we go. And there's your battery. This is just like a little protective cover. Just a little protective cover that cushions it. And it's a 51R. So when you go to look for it, that's what you're looking for. It's always a good idea to take the battery in, not only to get your money back for the core, but to compare them. Make sure they all hook up right. So always take the battery with me. I'm gonna have to turn it in anyway, so I might as well use it for a comparison, and then also get credit for the core. So if they ask you, do you have a core to exchange, that's what they're talking about, is the other replacement battery, because it has that lead core in it with the sulfuric acid. So take that in with you. And again, wash your hands, because that's lead. This will be lead. May have some acid if it's an old battery on the outside, so you want to handle it with gloves. Obviously I'm not right now, so I'm not the best example, but you're looking for a 51R in the group size. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in its sleeve. This is a sleeve, I believe, that velcros, but I think I can fit it right back in there without having to undo that. I'm not going to take the cap off yet until I get it into its location, and then you're just going to do this in reverse order. So we're going to put the positive on first, and then we'll ground it out, so we'll get all that squared away. So I'm going to take the mount that holds it down, I'm going to place it in with that little J hook, cinch that down, and then I'll put the positive on, and then from there then I'll go in and put the negative. So just reverse order that you did taking it off. This is just the battery container. This is that little J hook, and it's going to slide between this aluminum plate and the plastic plate and hook in down here on a metal piece that is actually connected to the frame. So that is going to slide between that aluminum and plastic case and hook in. So that's what you're aiming for when you're trying to slide this in, because it's going to be really hard to see up by having the battery out. Alright, let's make sure everything's centered, secured, not moving around a lot. Let's adjust this down so it fits in that case nicely. There we go, that looks good. You see, oh, nope, got it. All right, there we go. So that's in there. I'm gonna take my socket wrench, and flip that around. So now it'll tighten. So righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Same thing applies here to most of the bolts that you're gonna use. And you don't wanna cinch that down too tight. And you notice this one's got like a little J-hook that mounts into the body itself. I'm gonna cinch that down a little bit by hand. Not much. But you don't want to over tighten, but you do want it to be snug enough to secure that battery. You don't want that battery flopping around. Let me feel. Yeah. Right there, that's pretty good. I just don't want that to be too tight so that it busts that. So you still want that to be able to move just a little bit. Now I could take this other wrench, again, righty-tighty, tighten that one down too. That's pretty good. So I can still slightly move it by hand right here, so I know it's not pressing in to this, creating an indentation. You don't want it that tight. All right, so let's take that cap off. The reason we left it on is so it didn't come in contact with anything metal. So you don't need to clean the poles on this one because it's brand new. But if this was an older battery that you thought was getting a bad connection, you could take this cleaner here and run that part in the connection that's going to go on here. So we clean that terminal, and then this one has wire brushes on the inside that you just go back and forth. We don't need to do that, and there's no need to take that risk of getting that lead. This was already nice and clean because we just purchased the car, and that's going to go on there. And now we'll tighten that tin back down. But I'll show you on a dirty battery like mine on my car and show you how to clean that if you're not getting a good connection. That really should be your first step before you replace a whole battery, because it could just be a dirty connection. But when I tried that on yours, and so it was obvious that the battery just wasn't holding a charge, so I went and replaced the battery. So you want to place that cap on. You saw I snapped it here, and then you want it to cover up. We don't want anything metal coming around touching. You know, we wouldn't want a wrench to come around here and touch from here to there and create a short, and can cause this battery to explode. All right, so we've got our mount on, we've got our positive on. Now we're going to put the negative. You may get a little spark here. Around. There we go. So I want to make that nice and snug. Make sure it's fully on there, and then now I can tighten that one that I loosened up. Again, righty-tighty, not too tight on this. It's tempting to over tighten stuff. You'll end up breaking a bolt or doing damage. So just snug enough. Make sure it doesn't move, and that's good enough. Make sure it's not moving around, because this is nice and secure. And now your battery's back on. Now we're going to reset all your stuff inside your car. Now you've got, your seats aren't leather, so they're like a cloth material. And so very hard to clean. My hands are dirty. I'm going to go clean those first before I get in your car, because if I touch it, any dirt can get on that. It's going to be really hard to get out. All right, let's try this out. you're gonna have to reset your clock after putting your battery on there. So let's go here. I'm gonna hold that down until this screen pops up. This is on a Honda Civic. So it is 8:44 a.m. So there's the 8. Push that. It moves us over here. So we want to go back to 44, probably 45 by now. Hold that and then hold to set. Now clock is set. Everything should be good now for you.